Objective Geology, multiple choice questions with answers. This is the solved question paper of Pondicherry PhD Earth Sciences 2015 question paper. And I hope this solved question paper is useful for various competitive exams like CSIR, NET-GATE, GSI and other exams. Welcome to set 2. Coming to the first question. Siliceous environments named for the silica-rich shells deposited in them occur as A. In an evaporite environment, B. In a swamp environment, C. In a reef environment, and D. In a deep sea environment. So the correct answer is in a deep sea environment. Siliceous environments, these are characterized by silica-rich shells, are primarily found in deep sea environments. D is the correct answer. Next question. Suture zone present in an orogenic belt is characterized by, the choices are A. Molasse sediments, B. Normal falls, C. Oceanic crustal rocks and arc trench sediments, D. Horston graben structures. So suture zones present in an orogenic belt is characterized by oceanic crustal rocks and arc trench sediments. A suture zone in an orogenic belt, it is formed by the subduction zone and collision of oceanic crust and arc trench sediments. These are characterized by the presence of oceanic crustal rocks and arc trench sediments. C is the correct option. Next question. Which rock type makes a good cap rock for oil and gas reservoirs? The choices are A. Shale, B. Conglomerate, C. Limestone and D. Sandstone. The rock type which makes us a good cap rock for oil and gas reservoirs is shale. Shale rock, due to its low permeability and fine-grained nature, it is a common and effective cap rock for oil and gas reservoirs, which acts as a barrier to prevent hydrocarbons from migrating upwards. A. Shale is the correct option. Next question. The ability of a sensor to detect finite color differences in a scene is called as A. Spatial resolution, B. Radiometric resolution, C. Spectral resolution, and D. Temporal resolution. So the correct option is C. Spectral resolution. The ability of a sensor to detect finite color differences or small differences in wavelengths in a scene is indeed called as a spectral resolution. C is the correct option. Next question. Carbonatite complexes are associated with A. Ophiolites, B. Layered igneous complexes, C. Alkaline rocks, and D. Flood basalts. So the correct option is alkaline rocks. Carbonatite complexes are primarily associated with alkaline silicate rocks and often in continental extensional settings like rift zones and cratonic margins. And these are known for hosting valuable rare earth elements, REEs, and niobium. So carbonatite complexes are associated with alkaline rocks. C is the correct option. Next question. What is the porosity of newly deposited mud? A. Between 5% and 25%, B. Between 25% and 50%, C. 50%, and D. Greater than 50%. The option is D. Greater than 50%. Newly deposited mud typically exhibits very high porosity, often exceeding 60%, and it can even reach upwards of 70%. So that's why the option D, greater than 50, is the correct answer. Next question. Increased concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide will lead to A. More stability of calcareous shells, B. Higher pH of ocean, C. Higher weathering of rocks, and D. Lower global temperature. Increased concentration of atmospheric CO2, it will lead to higher weathering of rocks. Increased atmospheric carbon dioxide concentration generally leads to higher rates of rock weathering, primarily through the formation of carbonic acid in rainwater, which accelerates chemical weathering processes. So C, higher weathering of rocks, is the correct option. Next question. The northern margin of the Indian plate is marked by A. Indus suture zone, B. Shivaliks, C. Tibet Plateau, and D. Himalaya. So the correct option is D. Himalaya. The northern margin of the Indian plate is indeed marked by the Himalayas as a result of the collision between the Indian and Eurasian plates, forming a continent-continent convergent boundary. So the northern margin of the Indian plate is marked by Himalaya. D is the correct option. Next question. In pellitic rocks, chloritide is favored over chlorite in rocks having A. Higher aluminium and higher iron and magnesium ratio, B. Low aluminium and high iron and magnesium ratio, C. High potassium and high aluminium ratio, and D, high aluminum and high magnesium and iron ratio. So the correct option is A, high aluminum and high iron and magnesium ratio. Chloritide is favored in rocks with high aluminum and high iron or iron and magnesium ratio. So this is because the chloritide is an aluminum rich and iron by magnesium rich mineral when compared to chloride. Next question. The composition of the bulk earth is similar to A, moon, B, iron nickel meteorites, C, mercury, and D, carbonaceous scandites. So the composition of the bulk earth is similar to iron nickel meteorites. The bulk composition of the earth, especially its core, it is thought to be similar to that of iron nickel meteorites with a high iron content and significant nickel. Sometimes this is suggesting a common origin and building materials. Next question. Which of the following sedimentary environments would you expect the sand deposits to be poorly sorted? A, glacial, B, beach, C, alluvial, and D, desert. So the correct option is A, glacial. In a glacial sedimentary environment, we can expect the sand deposits to be poorly sorted because the glaciers transport and deposit a wide range of sediment sizes without sorting them. So in glacial environments, we can see the sand deposits are poorly sorted. Next question. Pyramid form in crystal consists of A, at least 3 non-parallel faces that are capable of intersecting in one point, B, at least 3 non-parallel non-intersecting faces, and C, at least 3 parallel faces, and D, at least 2 non-parallel faces intersecting in a line. So the correct option is B, at least 3 non-parallel non-intersecting faces. A pyramid form in a crystal typically consists of at least 3 non-parallel, non-intersecting faces where these faces meet or they can meet at a common point. Next question. The sulfide mineral found in some stony iron meteorites but not found on Earth is A, troilite, B, chalcocite, C, covellite, and D, pentlandite. So the correct option is A, troilite. The sulfide mineral found in some stony iron meteorites is troilite, that is iron sulfide. A, troilite is the correct option. Next question. Global continental glaciations and snowball earth-like conditions existed during A, mid-Archean, B, late Neoproterozoic, C, Cretaceous, and D, Mesoproterozoic. So the correct option is B, late Neoproterozoic. Global continental glaciations and snowball earth conditions where the earth was nearly frozen are hypothesized to have occurred during the cryogenian period of the Neoproterozoic era. This is roughly between 720 and 635 million years ago. Next question. Paired metamorphic belt is a characteristic feature of A, seafloor spreading zone, B, continental rift zone, C, subduction zone, and D, continental collision zone. Paired metamorphic belt is a characteristic feature of subduction zone. Paired metamorphic belts are a characteristic feature of subduction zones and they represent contrasting metamorphic mineral assemblages formed under different pressure and temperature conditions associated with convergent plate boundaries. So C, subduction zone is the correct option. Next question. The kind of drainage suggests strong variations in erosional resistance of the bedrock is A, trellis, B, meandering, C, dendritic, and D, deranged. So the correct option is A, trellis. A trellis drainage pattern, it strongly suggests variations in the erosional resistance of the bedrock as it develops in areas with alternating bands of resistant and non-resistant rocks. Next question. Divalent calcium and monovalent sodium substitute for each other in plagioclase to give rise to different members of plagioclase series. So the charge balance is achieved by A, incorporation of another monovalent cation like hydrogen in the structure, B, keeping one cation site vacant, and C, simultaneous substitution of aluminum and silica, and D, creating or breaking one bond with one of the non-bridging oxygen. So the correct option is C, simultaneous substitution of aluminum and silica. The charge balance in plagioclase where calcium substitute for sodium is achieved primarily by the substitution of aluminum for silica, not silica itself, to maintain electrical neutrality within the crystal structure. So C, simultaneous substitution of aluminum and silica is the correct option. Next question. In which of the following environments would you expect to find oscillation ripples? A. Alluvial, B. Deep sea, C. Beach, and D. Desert. So the correct option is A. Alluvial environment. Oscillation ripples are also known as wave ripples. They can form in alluvial environments, particularly in areas where loose sediment is exposed to the back and forth motion of the water, such as the nearshore areas or where tidal currents are strong. So A. Alluvial is the correct option. Next question. Coarse clastic material can be transported into a deep marine environment by A. Rivers, B. Wind, C. Turbidity currents, D. All of these. Coarse clastic material can be transported into a deep marine environment by turbidity currents. So these turbidity currents are sediment-laden density-driven flows that move rapidly down slopes. So coarse clastic material can be transported into deep marine environment by turbidity currents. C is the correct option. Next question. The reaction albite and quartz gives rise to jadeite. It is a characteristic of transformation or transition from A. Green schist to amphibolite facies, B. Blue schist to eclogite facies, C. Blue schist to green schist facies, and D. Amphibolite to granulite facies. The correct option is A. Green schist to amphibolite facies. The reaction albite and quartz giving rise to jadeite. It is a key indicator of the transition from green schist to amphibolite facies, particularly in metabasic rocks, and as it signifies the stability of the jadeite and the instability of the albite under high pressure and temperature conditions. So the option as A, that is green schist to amphibolite facies, is the correct option. Hope you have followed the content and the questions. See you in the next video. Thank you for your time. Hope you can like and subscribe. Thank you.